Hello, dear friends. Today we'll be reading the memoirs of a Don Cossack who served in the Wehrmacht. This Cossack was a former soldier in the Red Army. In July 1942, during the battles near Rostov, he was taken prisoner by the Germans and soon defected to their side. He was a junior officer. Previously, he had fought in the Russian Civil War against the Communists. But he managed to survive and joined the Red Army, where he even became an officer. Apparently, betrayal is his middle name. The events described in his diary cover a period of just under 5 months, from July 26th to November 13th, 1943. Don't forget to rate the video and leave your opinion on this material. It's important to me. Let's begin. July 16th, 1943. A historic day. Exactly 1 year ago on this day at noon, near the village of Karpo-Ruski, in the vicinity of the Glubokaya station in the Don region, a Polish soldier from Poznan, a soldier in the German army from the Berlin Panzer Division, fired 6 bullets at me and took us prisoner along with Sergeant Vanya Voloskov from Rzhev. My God, it's been a whole year already. So many events, so many deaths, escapes, and relocations during this time. What will happen on July 16th, 1944? Perhaps all that will remain of me is this diary and a faint memory? I still believe in my lucky star. German newspapers report the destruction of 400 Soviet tanks and the capture of 20,000 prisoners. Among them are young women, apparently Komsomol members. Stalin will stop at nothing. He will send women to war as well. A single Tiger tank destroyed 22 Soviet T-34s. There is a certain lightness to these figures. But it is clear that the Germans are beginning to dig in on the Eastern Front. The British offensive against Italy will require the withdrawal of 50 German divisions from the east. I am still convinced that the real fighting will begin in 1944. There are still many people, shells, guns, and planes. A war of nerves is beginning. Churchill said in Parliament, "Victory may come sooner than some expect." Heavy fighting with the British is underway in Sicily. 3 mines were cleared along the route to Alevsk. Trains are not running. July 25th. It's been sunny. Stopped by Valentine's place. We had a good lunch, but no drinks. I was heading to Vasilenko's, but didn't make it. Spent the evening at the Onishchuk's. Yesterday I stopped by the Major's place. We drank some beer. He plays the mandolin well. Sotnikov accompanies him on the guitar. We should organize a musical evening at their place. July 26th. Gagarin and the Cossack Shalyanov are being sent from the village of Rokitno to the village of Sarny and beyond. Saw Gagarin. He's still drinking. July 27th. In the evening we had a drink at Major Kozheko's. Tomorrow their division is leaving for the village of Sarny. A Cossack cavalry division is being formed. At the party there was vodka, beer, and as for snacks, nothing much. Sausage, eggs. There were Hauptmanns Denkman and Vander, 2 Oberleutnants, and Lieutenant Knudsen, Denkman's adjutant. At first the conversation didn't flow, but then it got as good as it could be. Knudsen has badges for wounds and for 3 assaults. It turns out that last June he was stationed with his unit near the Donets. July 31st. Lieutenant Seidel arrived with Centurion Shelkovnikov from the village of Antonovka. Something happened there. 2 Cossacks traded grenades for vodka. They went to a civilian's house, pointed their rifles, and demanded vodka. When they were being arrested, the Cossack Kabanov lunged at the Centurion and the German officer to fight. The latter drew his revolver and wanted to shoot him, but the Cossacks stopped him. I'm transferring to Antonovka. At 4 o'clock, Seidel and I left for Sarny. We had to pack in a hurry. We ended up with 3 bulky bags. It's getting harder to move around. We arrived in the village of Sarny in the evening. Went to the movies. The fleas bit like crazy at night. It was torture. Met with Vanya Krasikov. Heard some interesting news about myself. Apparently the Germans had shot me in Kiev for having ties to the Partisans. It turned out that those shot were Esau Romanchuk, commander of the first 100 of our detachment, Centurion Mzakian, who used to be my platoon commander, and a sergeant. The reason? Ties to the Partisans. A good omen. If they say you're dead, it means you'll live. They already buried me once during the Civil War. So far, I'm still alive. August 16th. Heading to Rokitno. I want to get some pants and underwear tailored, have my watch repaired, and catch up with some acquaintances. Things aren't going smoothly. They're repairing the road. Yesterday I spent the whole evening with my comrades at Hans's place. We talked about the war, about life. The Germans were very interested in life under the Soviets. They asked, "How much longer will the war last?" I replied, "Another 2 years." The guys are clearly tired. The methods of guerrilla warfare, which are unacceptable to the European mindset, are a major hindrance. I went to Sarny, met up with Galia. We sat around. There was no train to Rokitno. An explosion. They're repairing the tracks. August 17th. A cloudy day. At the headquarters of the 2nd Cossack Regiment, I met the officers. Ensign Filipov from Novocherkassk, an intelligent man. Centurion Selyakovsky, a fellow countryman of mine. We talked. We had breakfast. Scrambled eggs, cottage cheese, and coffee. I still ordered 2 pairs of trousers, a uniform, and long underwear from the regiment's tailor. During its existence, the regiment has lost over 300 men killed, wounded, or taken prisoner. They are fed and outfitted much better than we are. August 20th. German bombers bombed the Partisans' base. It was located on an island amid swamps in the woods. Men eager to loot found many parachutes, boots, felt boots, sheepskin coats, and other goods there. Of course, they made a good profit. The Partisans moved to another location. A German unit went to the base. They say they collected 3 cartloads of explosives alone. They took some of the goods and burned the rest. The Partisans moved to the Strashiv area. That's where most of the accidents are happening now. A freight train carrying limousines was passing through. It careened down a hill and hit a mine. The locomotive derailed and 6 cars piled on top of each other. The cars and limousines were reduced to a pile of wreckage. The engineers miraculously survived, though they were buried in coal. I spent the evening with the lovely Onishchuk family. We listened to records brought by Dr. Bruno Lindemann. In the winter of 1941, the doctor was on the left flank of the German army advancing on Moscow. He had been to Klin. He says, "It was tough. We retreated waist-deep in snow. Very few of our regiment remained. The Soviet skiers were especially relentless." I understand him. I myself fought in the Civil War against the Russians for 3 years. August 21st. Naxal returned from leave. Near the village of Strashava, the most dangerous area, Partisans fired on the train. August 23rd. In the evening, Lieutenant Seidel gave me a hard time for the long trip. I listened to him patiently, letting him vent. He scolded me a little, and that was the end of it. We watched Nights in Venice, the usual German nonsense, except for a few nice little songs. August 25th. Went for a bike ride. enjoyed a bath. August 27th. In the evening, we drank beer with the Germans. Noster played the accordion. The Germans, as usual, sang their songs in unison. Before evening, 11 Cossacks deserted from the Wehrmacht in an unknown direction. They were recruited from the latest prisoners of war, and here's the result. August 28th. Got to know Noster over a mug of beer. A tough German. I want to set up a leather tanning operation to make boots for the Cossacks. I need 60 kilograms of quicklime. I'm getting the business up and running. Seidel arrived from Rivne. He promises to issue leather boots to the Cossacks. 2 kilometers from Antonovka, the Partisans set up an ambush. As soon as a patrol appeared on the railroad tracks, the Partisans opened crossfire with machine guns. 4 Germans were riddled with bullets, one in the chest, the others in the legs. One corporal fought back with his submachine gun for a while, but they finished him off. 1 Cossack was wounded, 1 managed to escape, and the others were captured by the Partisans. The Partisans took all the weapons and ammunition with them. The 4 dead Germans were found in the bushes, brought to Antonovka, placed in a train car, covered with straw, and sent to Sarny. Our Cossacks took them to the city. It's cloudy. It's raining. I'm sitting here studying German. At night, the outposts fired frequently. A rumble and echoes through the forest. August 29th. In the morning, I went to see my comrade, the medic in the Wehrmacht. He gave me a spoonful of medicinal charcoal and 2 pills. I studied German well. Swarms of flies. I'm reading Alexei Tolstoy's Black Gold. I drank beer at Hans's place. I slept well in the afternoon, about an hour and a half. August 30th. There was an alarm at night. 3 warning shots. We got dressed quickly. We rushed out, took up positions behind the barricades. They fired about 5 flares. No attack followed. I found out the next day. There was a German post on the railroad, 200 meters from the station, manned by 2 young German guys. Somehow, the Partisans managed to sneak up on the post and shoot a young soldier point blank with a revolver, piercing his shoulder. The guys sounded the alarm. It happened around 1 in the morning. But in my opinion, they were just fiddling with a rifle, and one accidentally shot the other. Even though the nights are dark, you can still see if someone is creeping up. You have to be asleep to let the enemy get that close. August 31st. At 3 a.m., another alarm. The same flares, the same gunfire. They fired 300 or 400 rounds. Into the daylight, as if into a piggy bank. They spotted an old fire on the burnt-out site and started shooting at the flames. Tracer bullets hit the oak trees, creating flashes and sparks, and those fools just keep firing even more. All it would take is for 2 or 3 partisans to sneak up with their submachine guns, fire 2 or 3 short bursts, and our oddballs would use up all their ammunition. We went to sleep at 5 a.m. 15 minutes later, another alarm. It started with the Wehrmacht. The guys are getting nervous. I was sitting with Kreislandwirt last night, and he asks, "Where does Stalin get his reserves and tanks?" I tell him that there's a powerful industrial base in the Urals, with many evacuated factories. As for manpower reserves, every man in the USSR who can be mobilized has been mobilized. Stalin, says Noster, acted cunningly. During the Finnish War, And at the start of this one, he didn't reveal everything. But now he's moving his main reserves. I couldn't find a reason to object. September 1st, 1943. I was working on German. Such a difficult article. I spent the whole day translating it. A translation from Pravda. In the evening, I had a drink with the Germans. We started at August's apartment and finished at the Germans' barracks. Heinrich, a nice guy, played the harmonica, and Stasia, the other Stasia, Marusha, and I danced the waltz polka, the Krakowiak, and the foxtrot. Drunk Heinrich collapsed onto the bed and swore in Russian. The Poles laughed heartily. More Germans came. We had a pretty good evening. The Germans treat us fairly well, but there's the station commander, a man with heavy, cold eyes. He hates us Russians. He's ready to shoot us all. But alas, his hands are tied. September 5th. I want to go to the movies, to take my mind off things. A Wehrmacht centurion dropped by. We sat, talked, and drank beer. In the evening, in Sarny, I was at Mariesa Vladimirovna's. September 6th. Trains to Antonovka are stopped. The track has been blown up. I went to the 2nd Regiment. Everyone is at the firing range. Went to see Larisa Goroshko. We had lunch. We drank half a deciliter of moonshine. Went to see Pyotr Grigoryevich Pikno, an officer of the 1st Cavalry Division of the Volunteer Army. An interesting character. He was a member of the terrorist organization that eliminated Vorovsky and Voykov. He himself shot at a Soviet representative, a Latvian, in Bulgaria, and crossed the Soviet border several times. We talked until 2 in the morning and didn't cover everything. Tukhachevsky's conspiracy, the explosion at Lubyanka, at the Workers' Club in Leningrad. Conclusion: the Bolsheviks feared terror. September 8th. A sunny, clear morning. Machine gun fire nearby. Grenades were thrown. Partisans are active on the narrow-gauge railway. Germans from the Wehrmacht ran over there. Cossack Isayev caused a ruckus over a sack. He served 3 years for a fight with police officers at a club. He'll have to be put in solitary. A troublemaker, but a coward when the going gets tough. I know types like that from the Civil War. September 9th. On September 9th, 1942, exactly 1 year ago today, I arrived in Olevsk at 8 p.m. That day, at 3 p.m., I left Shepetivka in a passenger car with 2 Germans, a driver and a lieutenant. In 5 hours, we covered 250 kilometers. It was a day of a sharp transition from captivity to freedom, from the barbed wire and hunger we'd grown so tired of, to wonderful freedom. Only a person who has been in captivity and prison can appreciate the sacred word, freedom. It's been a year already. My God, how time flies. To satisfy our hunger, to eat our fill, that was our foremost and most cherished dream. And we managed to do it, feasting on Policia potatoes with sour milk, which Eva Timoshchuk treated us to. May God grant her good health and let her see the end of the war. Shepetivka. That word will hang over us like a heavy nightmare of memories for the rest of our lives. We Cossacks will never forget Shepetivka. Even if they fed me the finest dishes in the world on a golden platter for the rest of my life, but forced me to live in Shepetivka, I wouldn't agree. I spent the whole day studying German. Diligently, well. I'm even pleased with myself. I'm working through Lesson 38, Prepositions Requiring the Accusative Case. September 10th. We're having wonderful autumn days. Yesterday, 30 Cossacks left for the village of Klesovo. We'll be heading out soon, too. In the evening, we had a drink at Grishkina Toska's. We sang Cossack and Russian songs. With soul, with feeling, just as Russian people sing when they're far from home. We partied until 1 in the morning. I went home, had barely undressed when they came and sent me out on patrol. Went with Bernhardt. An old German sailor, he downs vodka like water. He says, "The war will be over soon." 84-engine American bombers were recently shot down over Berlin. One wonders how many there were in total. In Hamburg, 400,000 people have been killed or wounded. Cologne, Hamburg, and Berlin are being bombed particularly heavily. They're bombing Naples and Rome. September 11th. There was fog in the morning. Autumn is coming. Had a big fight with August and Oscar. They drink every day. Many Germans here will drink themselves to death during the war. The police are leaving for the village of Stolpe. German sailors attacked Spitsbergen, destroyed the bunkers, and returned to Norway. A cloudy, gray day. September 12th. 2 trucks with Germans from the Wehrmacht left in the morning. 40 men with 2 machine guns and submachine guns. They took a lot of ammunition and grenades. The partisans chopped down trees and blocked the road. Instead of quickly jumping out of the trucks and taking up positions, the Germans are sitting huddled together. A single machine gun could mow down the entire group. September 13th. Morning. A wonderful autumn day. Houses are burning not far from the barracks. The Germans are clearing the area for shelling. Residents, like ants, are hauling away their belongings. A familiar scene. Roofs, shingles, and dry pine crackle. Cossacks have climbed onto the roofs, pouring water. They're defending the huts of their lovers. A poor life, poor people. Children sit on bundles, crying. Mothers rush about. The night was restless. We slept fully clothed. We waited for a partisan attack. They say there are several thousand of them in the area. The situation is tense. We had a drink at Toska's in the evening. 40 people still haven't returned. Apparently, the Germans are doomed. 2 companies left Sarn for Punchevici. They're probably going to burn down the village. They're setting fire to a barn nearby. September 14th. Up to 100 Germans arrived during the night. They spent the night in our empty barracks. In helmets, in protective ponchos. They brought a burned corpse. It lies by the Wehrmacht barricade. I can't say it made a strong impression on me. It's not the first corpse I've seen in 2 wars. I even ate meat for lunch completely calmly. I felt no revulsion. I was right. Those Germans really are finished. They said, the first vehicle drove onto the wooden bridge. The second drove on and hit a mine. At that moment, the partisans opened deadly fire from heavy machine guns on both vehicles and wiped out all the Germans. And I had always thought that Station Chief Heinrich would be killed sooner or later. His eyes were just too full of hatred for humanity. I read death and doom in those eyes. Evil always begets evil. On the morning of the 6th, the Germans left. The residents of Netreba, Peresna, and Punchevici fled into the forests. If I survive, I will write a book with a title something like War as It Is. I swear this oath before the Lord God. It will recount everything I have seen and experienced. My eyes have seen much, and my bald head has thought much. The fate of nations is decided by blood and iron. Bismarck. I have no reason to argue with one of the wise Germans. The old man had a keen view of life and was right in many ways. Cossacks arrived from Sarny. Radio. Konotop has been surrendered to the Germans, as has the junction station of Bakhmach, 200 kilometers from Kiev, from which 4 roads lead out. 2 conflicting reports on Italy. Italy has joined forces with the Anglo-Americans against Germany, and Italy has expelled the Anglo-Americans from its territory. Who knows what to believe? Apparently, the German situation is due to a lack of reserves. They brought uniforms. Yesterday I spent half the day studying German. September 15th. I slept poorly last night. The Wehrmacht was firing endlessly near the church. A Cossack comes from the station and says, "I saw my homeland today." "How did you see it?" the Cossacks ask. Today the Germans were hauling wrecked artillery, tanks, and vehicles on the platforms, and there was mud on the wheels. I think, after all, this is our native land. There's a Cossack named Novikov in my 100, a native of Rostov. This scoundrel would sell his own father and mother for a bottle of vodka. 2 horses were grazing nearby. He stole them and sold them to a Pole for 2 liters of vodka. September 16th. 37 people have vanished, as if they'd sunk into water, as if they'd never lived. No traces have been found to this day. Rumors. The Reds are 110 kilometers from Kiev, advancing at 25 kilometers per hour. According to British radio, 35 kilometers. Even more unbelievable, Stalin's regime has been overthrown in Russia. A truce between Germany and the Soviets. There's a democratic government in Russia. They've agreed to cede the land up to the Dnieper. Well, that's definitely a lie. September 17th. We're loading up tomorrow. 6 train cars have arrived. 10 Cossacks are staying in Sarny. The rest, including me, are heading to Klesov. September 18th. Lieutenant Seidel arrived. They roused the Cossacks at 8 a.m. We began loading. Noise, shouting. The Cossacks are dismantling the beds in the kitchen. I packed my things. We're loading up. Tomorrow morning, off to Sarny and Klesov. Farewell, Antonovka. Though it was dangerous, we lived like we were at a resort. Milk and meat galore. We'll look back on this later, I'm sure of it. The local Polish women have already hung their heads. The Cossacks are leaving. After the war, Poland will be able to organize a Cossack division from the newly born Cossack children. The Poles will remember the Cossacks. God has tied us together with a single rope. Kuksov is constantly hauling our belongings. Cows, geese, pigs. They took everything with them. Just like the Germans. The Germans leave nothing behind. If they could take the outhouse with its contents, they would. In Germany, it'll go to fertilizer, though it's a lot of hassle. And yet, no matter how well we lived, my heart yearns for my own, for Verochka, the kids. If it were the end, I'd drop everything and fly there. I was in my hometown for the second time, in a dream, a strange dream, a girl running through the snow. September 19th. We unloaded at dusk. After Antonovka, a sense of sadness came over us. Barracks, a forest nearby, a quarry, a deep pit. There's nowhere to put the chickens, geese, pigs, or horses. In Antonovka, we lived like landowners. September 20th. In the morning, the Cossacks started a drinking party. Songs, dances. Germans don't know how to have fun like Russians do. Germans are too dry and rigid for that. Instead of blood, there's chemical ink running through their veins. Seidel arrived. He said he would soon be officially promoted to captain. He's going to see the colonel in Rivne. Ilatinets got some vodka and moonshine. We invited Seidel and the Germans. We drank, danced, and fooled around. The cook Fritz got drunk as a skunk. Lieutenant Seidel and the Germans were pleased. September 22nd. Disaster. A terrible disaster. Early in the morning, 25 Cossacks, Germans, and Poles set out for potatoes, about 4 kilometers from here, beyond the forest. On the way, they made a foolish mistake. They took 6 carts of potatoes from the peasants. The peasants, apparently, informed the partisans. The partisans set up an ambush. But the Cossacks didn't take that road. They took another one, but there, too, they were met with bursts of automatic gunfire. The Cossacks scattered and returned fire with machine guns. The partisans killed the Kuban Cossack Alexei Kosachev, 29 years old. A sturdy fellow, weighing 6 poods. The lad could have lived to be 100, but a hot bullet struck him down. A German named Fritz was wounded. Fritz was bandaged up and sent by handcar to Sarny. In the evening, they made a coffin for Kosachev. 2 bullets from automatic rifles had pierced his chest clean through near his left shoulder. A good, quick death, without suffering or agony. In the evening, the Cossacks spotted partisans. They fired at them with a machine gun. September 23rd. After lunch, the Cossacks got drunk, remembering Kosachev. 30 Cossacks are being sent to Zdolbuniv. A German came and promised to provide 2 plasterers to plaster the walls, build a stove, and tamp down the earth under the floor. September 24th. I'm going to Sarny to ask Lieutenant Seidel for permission to travel to Olevsk. I want to exchange the rawhide for a finished one. October 7th, 1943. Yesterday afternoon, an alarm was sounded. 40 Cossacks with 3 Belgian machine guns and I set off into the forest. But as soon as we entered the forest, we saw our comrades turning back. They were driving women, cows, and disabled men. And the partisans, whoever was there, had all left. News. The 2nd Cossack Regiment seems to be disarming. At one of the stations, the Cossacks killed 7 German soldiers and 1 officer. For this, the Germans shot 24 Cossacks. The guilty ones, of course, fled, while the innocent ones were caught. We had to have a talk with them. Lately, the Cossacks have started drinking moonshine. October 12th. Boring. The cold is setting in. No news from the front. Apparently, the situation is stabilizing on the Dnieper. October 13th. At 7 p.m., the Bolsheviks bombed Zhytomyr. 4 bombs on the train station, 8 on the airfield, and 6 on the city. They dropped 50 bombs on a village near Zhytomyr, where German units were stationed in a former military town, and bombed Berdichev. In the Konotop and Gomel area, such a large number of Bolshevik tanks were advancing that only 300 German aircraft managed to hold back the advance and give the German units time to retreat. Crimea is being evacuated. There are many troops in Zhytomyr. They didn't bring the boiler. Partisans are tearing up roads everywhere. There are 6,000 Russian prisoners in Shepetivka. I am reading Pilniak's stories. October 16th. We sent 23 Cossacks with Constable Bukin to Sarny. We went to the cemetery. We nailed up a board with the following inscription burned into it. Kuban Cossack Alexei Vasilievich Kosachev, born in 1914, killed on September 22, 1943. Kuban, Sergeyevskaya Stanitsa, Pudagin Farm. The sky is overcast. We washed in the bathhouse under the shower. In the evening, we played a card game. The situation on the Dnieper has stabilized. Fighting near Velikie Luki. October 27th. At 2 a.m., I went on patrol with Kulik. At 2 posts, equipped with a French heavy machine gun and a Belgian light machine gun, young Belgian soldiers were sleeping. With soldiers like that, the partisans will slaughter us like chickens. Boys around 18 to 20 years old. The devil take them and their culture. They sleep civilized at their posts, while fools get slaughtered. You can't win a war with soldiers like that. Reported to August. Said they'd send them all to Sarny. October 31st. In the evening, I had to arrest 2 Cossacks, Maximov and Skripnikov. They got drunk and went to their women. November 5th, 1943. About 5 kilometers from Sari, near the forest, the train came under heavy automatic and machine gun fire. The train continued on without stopping. Cossack Chechetka saw the machine gunners himself, lying 30 meters from the tracks. The Germans fired at the partisans from an armored car. November 6th. One of the Cossacks fell asleep on guard duty at the power plant. In the evening, before roll call, he was berated so badly that the guy didn't know where to hide. Yesterday I was at Plavsky's. An explosion just went off near the village of Rokitno. News: there are 100 vehicles with Germans in Antonovka. They're gathering supplies, loading bread, pigs, cows, and horses. Gorodets is a Ukrainian village, heavily destroyed. I'm waiting for Lieutenant Zeidel to go to Antonovka. If the partisans attack, the most important thing is to get out in time, not to let them catch you off guard. A game of cards. November 9th. The Germans in Europe are making a big mistake in that they completely underestimate the full power of the Ural iron industry. And most importantly, they still stubbornly continue to think that the USSR is populated entirely by fools, incapable of planning and carrying out serious operations. As it turns out, this war will shatter many misconceptions. The Soviets supposedly have a new tank design smaller than the Tiger, but one that outperforms it. November 12th. A cloudy, gloomy day. Kiev was taken by the Bolsheviks via a flanking maneuver from the northwest. The Germans shot a lot of civilians. Live and learn, and yet you'll die a fool. You can't learn everything. November 13th. Spent the night at Gavril Vasilievich's. Went to the doctor. He prescribed an ointment and a powder. I can't stand all those ointments and powders. The diary ends here. This Cossack was killed in battle, the details of which are unknown to us. That's all for today. If you liked the video, please support it with a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye for now, everyone. Until next time.